She never missed a shift, never once asked for help, until one night, she did. And when her boss found out the truth, he couldn't ignore it. Success was never simply handed to Lucas Carter. He earned every part of it. Long nights, missed birthdays, sacrifices that no one around him could ever truly understand. From a small office in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to running a multi-million-dollar logistics empire, he built Carter Freight Solutions with one core belief: hard work pays off. But that night, as he finished reviewing reports from his glass-walled office, something caught his eye. The cafeteria, which should have been closed, still had one employee lingering near the food counter. Eva Mitchell. He recognized her, not personally, but well enough. She was the kind of worker he never had to think twice about. Always punctual, never complaining, never causing trouble. She handled double shifts like they were effortless. If a crisis arose, Eva was there. But now, something was different. She hesitated. Lucas leaned back in his chair, watching as she shifted her weight, glancing around as if making sure no one was watching. Then, she approached the kitchen staff. He couldn't hear their conversation, but he didn't need to. He saw the way the cook's brows furrowed, the silent exchange between them, and the way, after a brief pause, a takeout container was handed to her. Eva murmured a quiet thank you before quickly tucking the container into her oversized tote bag, then turned and walked away, head down, pace brisk, like she didn't want to be seen. Something about it didn't sit right. Lucas wasn't the kind of boss who involved himself in his employees' personal lives. That wasn't how he ran his business. You worked hard, you got paid, it was simple. But Eva asking for food? That nagged at him. She worked more than most. She pulled double shifts, sometimes triples. If anyone should be able to afford a meal, it was her. So, why did she have to ask for one? Maybe he was overthinking. Maybe it wasn't his business. Yet, as he glanced back at the report on his desk, the words blurred together. Eva Mitchell, asking for food. That thought wouldn't leave him. But what if there was more to it? Lucas told himself he was being ridiculous. He had a company to run, deadlines to meet, responsibilities that stretched longer than he had hours in the day. Shadowing an employee home? That was crossing a line. And yet, as he stepped out of his office into the quiet corridors, his feet moved before logic could stop them. Eva was already outside. She walked with purpose, but something about her pace felt off, hurried yet heavy, like someone carrying the weight of exhaustion. The wind bit through the parking lot, but she only pulled her thin jacket tighter and kept moving. No car keys, no pause to look for a ride. She headed straight for the nearest bus stop. Lucas hesitated. This wasn't his place. And yet, when the bus pulled up and Eva stepped inside, he found himself following. The dim fluorescent lights flickered overhead as the bus rumbled forward. Eva took a seat in the middle, resting her forehead against the window. She looked drained, like someone running on empty. But there was no frustration in her expression, no self-pity. Just quiet acceptance. Lucas sat toward the back, keeping a distance. What exactly was he looking for? The ride stretched on. Past the business district. Past the shopping centers. Past the parts of town he rarely thought about. At some point, the streetlights grew sparser, and the polished glass offices gave way to aging brick apartments, buildings worn from time and struggle. Then Eva pulled the stop cord. Lucas watched as she stepped off, adjusting the strap of her bag. He followed, keeping to the opposite side of the street. The sidewalk was cracked, the air thick with the scent of rain on pavement. Eva turned a corner, passing flickering porch lights and rusted railings before finally stopping. A small apartment complex stood before her. The kind that had seen better days, yet still held the echoes of families trying their best. She climbed the stairs to the second floor, pulled out her keys, and disappeared inside. Lucas slowed his steps, stopping just short of the building. Through the thin curtains of the window, he saw it. The inside wasn't just bare in the way a new place might be. It was the kind of bare that came from living without comfort, without security for a long time. A single mattress lay on the floor. No couch. No dining table. No warmth. Just a few blankets. A small stack of neatly folded clothes on a plastic crate. And then, two small heads peeked out from the mattress. Children. Eva knelt beside them, opening the takeout container with careful hands. The kids, no older than 5 or 6, scooted forward, their eyes wide with anticipation. She split the meal between them, watching as they ate in quiet urgency. She hadn't gotten that food for herself. She had asked for it because she needed to feed them. Lucas stood there, the weight of the moment settling in his chest. He had spent years building a company, pushing his employees to work harder, longer, faster. But had he ever really seen them? Had he ever thought about what happened after they clocked out? Eva wasn't just working double shifts. She was surviving them. A gust of wind swept through the street, rattling a loose metal sign nearby. Lucas took a step back, his mind racing. He needed to leave. This wasn't his business. He had already seen too much. But just as he turned, a small voice cut through the night. "Mommy, are we gonna have breakfast tomorrow?" Lucas froze. Eva hesitated, just for a second, before brushing her daughter's curls back. "Of course, baby," she murmured. "I'll figure it out." She smiled, but it was the kind of smile meant to comfort someone else, not herself. And in that moment, something shifted inside Lucas. This wasn't just an unfortunate situation. This was a broken system. And for the first time, he wasn't sure if just working hard was enough to fix it. But he couldn't just walk away. The next morning, Lucas sat at his desk, staring at his laptop screen. But his mind was somewhere else. He had spent the night thinking, rethinking, overthinking. He had built his career on fixing problems, on finding solutions. But this wasn't just business. This was personal. A soft knock pulled him back. "Eva Mitchell is here to see you," his assistant said. Right on time, Eva walked in. She looked just as exhausted as the night before, but something in her eyes had changed, a quiet wariness, a hesitation that hadn't been there before. She sat across from him, hands folded neatly in her lap. "You wanted to see me, sir?" she asked, her voice even. Lucas wasn't sure where to start. He had rehearsed this moment over and over. But now, none of those versions felt right. So he just said it. "I saw you last night." Eva stiffened. "Excuse me?" "I followed you home." Her eyes snapped to his, confusion flashing across her face. Then something else. Defensiveness. I don't understand. I saw you take that food. I saw your apartment. Your kids." Eva's breath hitched. She glanced at the door, calculating how fast she could leave. I don't need. I'm not here to judge." Lucas leaned forward. "I'm here because I should have seen it sooner. And I want to fix it,